words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer.
Amen.
Please be seated. Most of you know that Jerry and I have a wedding coming up next week. Our daughter Audrey was married in June in North Georgia, and our son Judson, our elder child, is marrying the lovely Sophia von der Schulenburg in New Orleans on Saturday night. And so I'm the mother of the groom this time around. Everybody knows what the mother of the groom is supposed to do, right? You show up, wear beige, and keep your mouth shut. Sadly, thank you, Nick. Oh, very nice. Hi, everyone. You're my only hope still. So, but I haven't done that. Not so well. Actually, if you look closely, my dress might be orange. But the cool thing is, I'll be conducting the public contract part of the wedding. I am the officiant at the wedding, and that just makes my lawyer mom heart glad. Because that is the part of the wedding that I love the best before bestowing God's blessing on the new marriage. The public contract part of the wedding is where first the bride and then the groom agrees to take the other as a lawfully wedded spouse, living together in a new land of covenant, of marriage, however life unfolds, for the whole rest of their lives. This is a really bold and faithful choice for anyone. Last week we talked about the statement of faith in the letter to the Hebrews, the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. New couples make that courageous, faithful choice to trust in a future that they can't see and make their home together in whatever new environment and context that their individual pasts lead them into. Our reading from Jeremiah today describes God's people's faithful, courageous choice to make a new, unfamiliar environment their home. The Israelites are in exile. They're captives in a strange and unfamiliar land of Babylon, in a time of dislocation and confusion and pain. There's no temple for their worship. There are no godly rulers. There are no laws based on generations, centuries, and eons of experience from Abraham and Moses of their people telling them what to do and how to live. And then the prophet Jeremiah hears these new instructions from God for the Israelites in exile. Jeremiah tells them that God wants them to settle into Babylon and build houses for their families to live in and to plant crops for their livelihood. Wait, what? And then that's not all. God also instructed them to multiply there, marrying and producing children, and then God raises the stakes again. Jeremiah tells the people God wants them to be members of the community. Seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. Well, that's certainly surprising. Maybe I should repeat that again, just for me. Seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. The Hebrew word for welfare is shalom, which is often translated as peace, but it also includes notions of justice and of righteousness. God tells the people to bloom where their until life returns as they remember it and love it, but to dig deep, put down roots, and live, love, and thrive in a context that is strange to them. I don't know about you, but Jeremiah is speaking truth into my life right now. How many of us are hedging our bets? Whether in our relationships, our plans for the future, or our commitments to God and community? Are we waiting to see what might happen when things get back to normal? After COVID, after hurricane season, after vacation, after the recession, after the wedding? Are we putting off commitment to see if something better comes along? Are we holding off on our own shalom, the peace and love and justice of our here and now lives, while we wait for the good old days to come back? Are we avoiding commitment to our new present and yet unseen future? Are we refusing God's invitation to bloom where we're planted, while we polish and idealize a golden time in our happy memories? It takes courage and faith, the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things unseen, to commit to a future we can't see and make our home together in this new time God is unfolding in front of us. We talked last week about faith from the Latin word fides, which means trust or loyalty, putting someone else's interests ahead of our own. We talked last week about the English word fidelity, that loyalty between spouses, for example, which contains the root word fides for faith. On this celebration of the feast of St. Francis, when we pay attention to the tender feelings that our pets bring out in us, connecting us to them and to each other and to the community, it makes sense to remember, as Jerry reminded me, that Abraham Lincoln's dog's name was Fido, literally translated from Latin as I am faithful. Fido. And the metaphor of hospitality in our attachment to our animals is powerful, because hospitality is literally the love of what is strange to or different from us. And we love our pets abundantly and unreservedly. Except for parrots, they don't speak our language and they see things from a different perspective. They come out of their context to live in ours, tying their future and their whole furry, feathered, scaly shalom to ours. Their well-being and their justice and their righteousness, they come to our context and place where we've set the rules. I know the metaphor isn't perfect, but metaphors invite our curiosity and provide a way for us to reimagine our responses and our attitudes, especially in hospitality, that enthusiastic, curious, intentional engagement with those who are strange to or different from us, muddy paws and all. Monday, we welcomed the Reverend Canon Sarah Snyder, the former Reconciliation Advisor to the Archbishop of Canterbury and founding director of Rose Castle in Northern England. Sarah and her Rose Castle team, Phoebe Dale and Joe Blandfield, drove all the way to Newport from the JFK airport in the rain. It was a dark day. And they were driving, think about this, on the wrong side of the road from their context at home in England to spend time with us Monday. They were only here with us for an afternoon, but they left warmth and light and insight behind as their gift. They showed us through their own curiosity, presence, and reimagination experience. It's easier and way less risky to invite people into our own contexts and share what is familiar to us. So in making such a great effort to leave their own familiar place to visit Emmanuel, Sarah, Phoebe, and Joe showed us that they were interested in meeting each one of us, knowing who we were, and listening intently. And they made it possible for us to see ourselves, what we worked on together, what we've grown, through their eyes, feeling the pride and the connection among us and love. Where can we find the faith and courage to trust in a future we can't see? And make our home together in this new context God has unfolded for us. First, we do it together. Second, all of us, even those of us who don't come from here or are outside the boundaries, like the 10 lepers in this morning's gospel, we're all invited into God's future in Emmanuel. Even, and especially, the 10th leper who came back. He was a Samaritan, the most different and outside of all of them. He remembered to come back and wait his day. Amen.